Welcome to Comet Computer Private Limited, e-learning program of ticketing tool for L1 IT support. So we have discussed about the incident management and the service management tool available. One is Jira, and we are going to discuss about Manage Engine also. So we have to see the entire workflow of a ticket. So in the earlier presentation, we have seen just to create a ticket in using the Jira Service Management. Now what we'll do next level, we have to go for creating the ticket and follow the entire life cycle for the ticket. So we have already seen the different stages of the ticket, right? So we are going to see the practical stages of different levels of tickets, how to create the ticket, how to assign it, how to move it, how to close it, how to keep the ticket in pending. So everything we'll see in this session. So we'll get into incident management session, ticket creation. So again, the basic definitions we have provided. So what is the incident management as per ITIL? It is restoring the services as quickly as possible. So if any user is creating the ticket, incident ticket, we have to give priority for fixing the issue. Suppose you are having five service requests from the users, different users, and one incident ticket you are getting in between that. So we have to park the processing of service request and immediately we have to get into the incident ticket because always incident is leading to the high priority compared to the service request because service request is they want something, right? I want this software, I want this hardware, so that can be delayed bit, right? We cannot postpone it for a long time, but it can be delayed for some time because we have high priority incident have been assigned to us. So that's a comparison between the incident and request. Since it is a issue for a particular user, maybe the printer is not working. Suppose a user is asking a request, I want a print request, printer access for printing the documents. That is the request we are getting. Whereas if the printer is not working, that is the issue. It was access was available for the user, but now he is not able to take a print. That's the difference between incident and a request. Incident management is a reactive process because once the incident has occurred, then we are getting into the issue and trying to fix the problem. What is the issue for the user? Maybe printer is not working. We check the printer connectivity, we ping the printer, we ensure the printer is connected to the network, powered on, and there is proper supply of paper, toner is available. So all the checks we are doing to ensure the printer is working fine. So this is a reactive process. So proactive, where I can see proactive, in you have something called event management. So we have seen the initial presentation, right? So we'll be having a monitoring of service by using a third-party tool, maybe a SolarWinds or any other tools. So those tools will be monitoring entire activity of the server. If there is any issue, it will be prompting with the alert, like 60 percentage information alert, 70 percentage warning alert, 80 percentage error alert. So still you have 20 percentage to take action, but this is a proactive management where we know that there is a space issue or processor is being utilized more. So before it is reaching to 100 percentage and getting into the hang state of server, we take action. So within 60% or 70% itself, we'll be taking action and trying to address the issue, maybe application related or system related. So we ensure that the system is not going down and the server is properly handled. The issue is properly handled. This is the proactive, whereas that is the event management, whereas this incident management is a reactive. Yes, printer is not working, internet is not working. That is an incident. If somebody says something, then we go and check and ensure it is being restored as quickly as possible. So this is about the incident management. So what are the normal activities? Suppose you are a desktop engineer, you are a L1 engineer or a site support engineer. So what is that you're going to do related to incident management? This is very important, right? Because just like that, you are going to office and working on the issues, getting the mails and attending to the mails, providing the paper, providing the support, providing the hardware. So all those things are generic activity. But as per the ITL framework, what are all the major activities involved for a desktop engineer or L1 engineer? Detecting and recording incident details. So we have to detect, we have to check our queue, right? Every 10 minutes or 15 minutes, we have to refresh and see whether we have got any tickets, because each person is assigned to a queue. Maybe I belong to Chennai, so I have a queue in Chennai, or I have some office in Chennai, so in that office I'll have a queue. So every 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I have to refresh and see whether I have got any new ticket or not. So likewise, I'll have to see and act on the ticket, matching incidents against known problems. So we have something called knowledge known error database. We have knowledge check also. Wherever we have problems, once the problem is resolved, issue is resolved, we'll be creating a knowledge article. So that will be updated into the database that is called KEDB, okay, known error database, by using the experience of the engineer. Whatever the documents we refer, whatever the URLs we refer, we just create a document mentioning that, okay, this is the issue, this is the solution. So in future, suppose the same problem comes, we should be able to remember it, or otherwise you can open the KADB portal and type the issue. You have to take it with the keywords. So maybe system hung or CPU usage, something like that. The keyword you have to use. And once you search, you may get a couple of KDB articles. So you can choose the relevant one. Maybe if you have the error message exactly, you can put it in the KDB search. So you'll get the exact document. If suppose if there is no document available, what we will do? So what we'll do, so we'll try search from the Google or take it from any other reference and try to fix the issues. Once the issue is fixed and confirmed, we'll create a document for update uploading into the knowledge database, KDB database. So that in future, if anybody is getting the new issue for them, they can just search in the KDB and they can get the solution immediately. So this helps in reducing the overall wait time for the end user. Maybe first time they're taking half an hour to 45 minutes for fixing the issue, but once I have the document available, I can directly go to the specific URL or specific problems and get the directions and solve the problems, right? So within a fraction of 10 minutes, we can solve the issue. So that helps in saving the time. So resolving incidents as quickly as possible. That is what expected. You cannot take more time in resolving the issue. So this is the interim solution what we are going to provide. Maybe it is not a permanent solution as of now, but whatever is interrupted, yeah, I have to resolve the issue and make the service run as early as possible. Prioritizing incidents in terms of impact and urgency. So this is already calculated in the ticketing system based on the CTI. We call it as a CTI, category type incident. So based on that, it will be prioritized. Say for example, desktop, hardware, keyboard. So category is desktop, um, type is hardware, and item is keyboard. So this will have low priority or medium priority, right? Because more than that, we have lot of issues. Suppose desktop, um printer unable to print. So this is the P2, or if it is for one user, it will be P2. If it is for more users in the floor, continuously users are sending a request, so that P2 can be promoted as a P1. So we should know how to categorize the tickets and make it in the service catalog itself so that the system can decide and create the ticket automatically. Escalating incidents to other teams to ensure timely resolution. Suppose we know what to be done, but we don't have the rights to do it. So it is not our problem, right? There is a limitation for each level. So though you have knowledge in that particular thing, and you will not be able to work on the particular solution. So immediately you have to escalate the ticket to the L2 team or L3 team, whichever is applicable. Say for example, there is a Outlook related issue for the end user. You tried fixing the issue via the Outlook, but sometimes it has to be verified from the server also. but you don't have the access to the server, or you cannot do anything in the server. You can just see the configuration, right? As a L1 engineer. So what you can do is, though you know what is the solution you have to provide from the server, you cannot touch the server. Okay, you can just view it because you don't have a permission. You'll be immediately escalating the ticket to the L2 team or L3 team, relevant team, and asking them that the issue has to be addressed quickly as possible. And they will work on the ticket and they'll provide the resolution. So this is how you go for escalating the tickets to next levels continuously. So any ticket you take, you have two different timings. One is incident response time and the other is incident resolution time. Response time is calculated slightly different for other organizations. Or as per ITIL, it says that if the ticket is assigned to a person, the person has to respond back to the user, not to the system or not to the IT team. Okay, he has to respond back to the user mentioning that he has received your ticket. So that time will be considered as a response time. So ticket is created at 10 a.m. in the morning, and it is assigned to the group first, and then the queue manager is assigning the ticket to person A. Okay, so another 5 minutes it has gone, so 10:05. So person A may be doing the other activity or doing the troubleshooting. So in his refresh cycle, 10 minutes time, right? So if it's each 10 minutes, we have to see the queue. So he's seeing at the end of 10 minutes, he has one ticket. Okay, so in the queue, because it is assigned by the queue manager, so he'll be having the ticket in his queue now. Okay, so already 15 minutes gone, right? And now he will open the ticket. Since it is a new ticket, he will open the ticket and he has to acknowledge the ticket, mentioning that I have received your ticket. Okay, so I'll work on this and I'll provide you the solution, whatever it is. Once you send mail, once you update that in the ticket, a mail will be triggered to the end user. Maybe for typing the content, you took another 5 minutes time. So already 15 minutes gone. 15 plus 5 is 20 minutes. Okay, so for responding this ticket, you have taken 20 minutes of time. There may be delay from the queue manager because queue manager is busy in doing the activity for all the towers. So he or she has not seen the ticket in the common queue. So that will be calculated and assigned to you only. The tower which is receiving the ticket, they'll be responsible for the workflow of response time and resolution time. So this is the response time. So the companies may have different levels for different priorities. Again, this is only a sample data. So priority 1, 15 minutes, priority 2, 30 minutes, priority 3, 45 minutes, and priority 4, 60 minutes. This is the normal data. And some companies may can also have priority 1, 2 hours, priority 2, 4 hours, 8 hours, and 24 hours for priority 4. So anything can be possible with that priority time, but we have to know what is the priority this organization or this customer is maintaining it, so that before that is getting breached, you will take action on the particular ticket. Say, for example, if it is a P1 ticket, if it was a P1 ticket and I took 20 minutes for responding to the end user, so it means I have already violated the P1 response. So in that example, so this should not be the case. So we should act quickly within 15 minutes of time. Once the ticket is created, the time starts. Once a user says, I have a issue and submit, it is going for creating the ticket. No, from that time, the ticket time is getting started, and we'll have to start accessing the ticket and providing the input quickly so that within 15 minutes you are responding back to the user and updating the ticket. So that faster operation is required in case of priority one ticket. Based on the timing, okay, if it is you have some 2 hours of time, then okay, you can take some time in understanding the issue and then you can respond back to the user. Then incident resolution time. So we have seen the response time. Response time is receiving the ticket, acknowledging the ticket back to the end user, he or she coming to know that you are going to provide a solution for the particular ticket. So that is response time. Resolution time is once the ticket is responded, immediately we go for resolving that issue. So Whatever the issue, technical things we are not going to discuss now. Once the issue is resolved, we are getting the confirmation from the user, and then we are going for closing the ticket. Actually, we'll be resolving the ticket. User will be closing the ticket, or it will get closed automatically by the system. So we'll go for resolving the ticket. So from the ticket creation time and the time the ticket is closed or resolved in the system, it will be calculated from the time of response and time of ticket resolved. So they'll take a difference of these two time, and they'll come to a conclusion, okay, this much hours you have taken to resolve the issue. So again, here we have some different timings available, and that's all depends on the customer what you are working. So whatever the time, you have to make a note of it and act accordingly. Okay, so you cannot be relaxed. So as soon as you get the ticket, you have to jump on it and start working on the issue. So this is the resolution time. So response time and resolution time are very important timing, and some companies may charge you penalty if at all you are not following the resolution time properly. So now we'll get into the ticket workflow. So we are opening the Comet project, CCPL project, and raising incident. I'm saying that printer is not working. Component is printer. So suppose you have updated the CMDB database and included in the ticketing tool. Once you drop down, you will get that asset. So you need not type any name of the asset. You can directly type the actual CI which is having the issue. And moreover, in the floor, desktop engineers will be pasting the printer name, printer IP address, MAC address, and all in the poster, so that even if you don't know the name of the printer, you can search it and you can get the IP address and other details. You can update that in the ticket. So I'm unable to take a printout. Here I'm just mentioning the time, place also, SDB1, second floor, right wing, because there may be multiple printers available. So we are saying only this particular printer is having problem, because normally users will have more than one printer connection. So as here, the user need to take a printout of documents, and it is very important for this delivery. But he is not getting any support. The printer is not working, and he is raising a ticket for fixing the issue. So ticket should be neat and clear, and we have to express whatever it is required. And now click on the create option, and the ticket is created. So internet is not working, and choosing the components of its network and start typing the description of it. So I'm mentioning internet is not working in my laptop from today morning. Okay, CAP 5. the internet is not working, CAP5. Another ticket. Now it is guest Wi-Fi account. There is an issue in guest Wi-Fi account. We are going to create a ticket. See how user is mentioning the ticket details in the same way. We have to mention the details about the issue properly. So we cannot give it in words. Okay, I am looking into the ticket. Okay, I'll take care of it. Or put dots. So we should give the informations clearly. If the information is not clear, you can call the user and ask for an appointment. So you can get the confirmation from the user, verify the issue, and then you can solve the problem. So normally we'll be creating a meeting invite based on the appointment received from the end user. And if any troubleshooting is required, we'll use that meeting invite to take a remote of a desktop or laptop and we fix the issue. So for that, we'll be using the meeting calendar invite or meeting appointment. So you can see overall requests available in the system. So we have other status like open incidents, pending, work in progress, closing, and other things available for ticket flow example. Getting into another ticket. So here the user says that the laptop is formatted for some OS related issues, after which the laptop is not connecting to the VPN, and maybe he is using the Cisco AnyConnect VPN tool for connecting to the VPN setup or any other third-party tool also possible. He also confirms during the OS format only the issue has occurred. Prior to that, there is no issue with the system. So since it is a descriptive one, it takes time otherwise. Uh, if it is alert, it will be generated from the system and it will have standard comment. But we'll have to ensure that we are providing the details properly into the ticket. Okay, so we have seen the creation of tickets for different issue. All incident tickets only because something is not working, it is a incident. So all ticket related issues only. So with this, we are coming to the completion of part one. Thank you very much.